In a land before time, a small dinosaur must use his unique ability to protect his girlfriend from the dangerous creatures of the era. This is Dino Land! Dino Land is one of 12 games included in Evercade cartridge number 23, Renovation Collection 1. Dino Land was developed by Wolf Team and released in January of 1991 for the Sega Genesis in North America, and this is the version of the game included in this collection for the Evercade. The game was also released in August of 1991 for the Sega Mega Drive in Japan, and finally in November of 1991 for the Sharp X68000 in Japan. The Japan versions of the game were called Shotaru Retsuden Dino Land. The Genesis and Mega Drive versions are virtually the same, but the Sharp 68000 version, while looking very similar, plays quite differently. It also seems to have more speech samples, but looks to be missing some of the animations of the other versions. The premise of the game is pretty straightforward. You're a small dinosaur named Dino Buns, and he has the ability to curl up into a ball which makes him deadly to other dinosaurs. When your girlfriend, Michelle, gets kidnapped, you'll have to rescue her, and this is something that occurs quite regularly throughout the game. And that's about the long and short of it. Well, you wouldn't know it from the game's title or box art, but this is a pinball game. There are 3 levels, Earth, Air, and Water, but you'll be spending most of the game on the Earth level for reasons I'll explain later. The game features your typical gamepad pinball controls for the time of release, except during the boss fights. Things will play out like usual, and the goal will be to hit the boss enough times to make him retreat. However, there's another little critter that circles the playfield attempting to kidnap your girlfriend. In order to stop him, you'll have to hit a button to transform into a dinosaur, and then touch that little critter to make him turn around and head in the other direction. The catch is there's a time limit as to how long you can walk around before you're forced back into a ball. There's a meter that drains while you're in dinosaur form, and it refills back up when you're in ball form. You'll have to time your transformations until you're close to that little guy, because if you let the meter run out and you're forced back into a ball, by the time you can transform again, it may be too late. The game seems promising at first. It certainly is playable, and I never really had an issue getting the ball to where I needed it to go. However, the first thing I noticed is that the game doesn't exactly scroll smoothly up and down the playfield, and everything's not really well animated, but it's something I got used to over time. The game's main problem is that there's very little to do on each playfield, and you'll be shooting the same things over and over again. You'll be on the Earth playfield most of the time, and all there really is to do there is shoot the slot machine, the T-Rex's mouth, and the hole in the middle of the screen. Hitting that hole enough times will gain you access to the boss, and if you succeed in beating him, you'll get a massive 1 million points. So you'll just be wanting to do that over and over and over again if you're going for a high score. The only thing I thought was clever was that after meeting a certain criteria on that playfield, lightning will strike, causing your friends to appear in the middle of the table, and by passing them over, you'll get a chain of balls to follow you, and all of your points will be multiplied by the number of balls in play. However, this will also summon the ball eater to the playfield, and if you hit him, you'll lose a ball in the chain. He will not leave until the entire chain is gone. As for the additional playfields, there is a sky and a sea level, and there are 2 ways to access them. By meeting certain criteria, the path to the sea or sky will open as indicated on the screen below the flippers, and access is made by draining the ball, which I found to be very bizarre. In fact, I was reluctant to do it the first time I saw it because it goes against my natural instinct. It also seems to take forever for these areas to open up. I have no idea what the criteria is, but it doesn't seem to happen very often. I've gained access more frequently with the second method, which is just to get 3 matching birds or sea creatures using the slot machine at the top of the playfield, which will instantly teleport you to these areas. But that can still take a while to happen. Each area plays basically the same way, and each has its own boss that can be fought. These other boss fights are slightly different, but they're basically the same thing. Keep hitting the boss until he goes away while keeping the little guy away from Michelle. Access to the boss is even the same in the sea level as in the Earth level, but for some reason the sky level has a different method. The sky level also has a couple of extra unique features, like a breakable egg that releases a random airborne creature, and if you hit it before it leaves the screen, you get extra points. But it makes me wonder why the sea level is so similar to the earth level, while the air level is significantly different. Regardless, the sea and the air level are also more difficult than the earth level, so odds are you'll be sent back to the earth level when you lose the ball before you know it. The game gets to be quite repetitive and boring after a while, so imagine my surprise when I found out the game has an ending that is accessed by maxing out the game score. Now, you don't have to do it all in one game. After your game is over, you can select Continue, and the next game starts with the score you had when the last game ended. And I believe you could just keep continuing indefinitely. Even then, I can't see most people playing until the end because it took me almost 4 hours to do it, and I only did it out of curiosity because I'd stopped having fun with the game long before I maxed out the score. While I feel I've had enough of this game to last me 10 lifetimes, I can't really say I don't like it, but I certainly can't say I do like it either. Maybe if the air and sea playfields weren't so inaccessible and difficult, the game would feel like it has more variety. Here we are with our current rankings for Renovation Collection 1, and with Dino Land, I was very tempted to put it on Tier D, but I think I'm going to bump it up a notch and put it in Tier C. And if we go to our complete list of all Evercade games, we're going to take Dino Land and throw it somewhere in Tier C here. Let me see. Yeah, I'm actually going to throw it a little bit lower on Tier C, and I think we're going to put it right above Submarine Commander for the Atari 2600 and just below Boomerang Kid for the NES. So yeah, I think that's a good position for it. I think I would rather play Boomerang Kid than Dino Land, to be honest. So while I was looking up info for this game, I ran across two codes that were quite interesting. Both codes require controller button inputs, and since the Evercade controls can be remapped, I'll be referring to the buttons as if we were using the original Sega Genesis controllers. Now, one of the things I complained about was that the air and sea levels were encountered very infrequently. Well, it turns out there's a code that'll let you jump to whatever level you want. All you've got to do is pause the game and press down, up, down, 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 and then hit B and start at the same time. The game will unpause and continue like normal. However, when you press the A button, you'll now teleport and start to cycle throughout the levels. From the earth level, you'll go to the sea level, and then from there you'll go to the air level, and then from there you'll go back to the earth level, and it'll just keep cycling through like that. It's a very neat trick if you get bored playing one level for too long. But this next code is even more interesting. Normally, only during the boss stages can you transform into a dinosaur and walk around, and even then it's only temporary. Well, if you pause the game and press up, down, up, 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 and then hit B and start at the same time, the game will unpause, and anytime you press the B button, you'll transform into dinosaur form anywhere in the game, and there will be no time limit. However, this doesn't work during the boss fights, and those will still play out like normal. But this was still kind of fun to try out because you could just walk over and hit and trigger whatever you want, and you could also walk through walls and barriers. But for whatever reason, your sprite will be glitched during the air level, and also, if you try hard enough, you'll get your dino guy stuck in the level and soft lock the game. But both codes can be active simultaneously, giving you free access to anything you want, and I think that makes the game way more interesting to play around with. And that'll wrap it up for Dino Land. I don't think that this game is bad, but it certainly gets boring without the codes. Next time, I'll be looking at El Viento from the same cartridge, Renovation Collection 1.